Hey everybody, welcome to the floor. Today I'm going to answer a question that I have been asked many times over the last year or two. How do I record my drums and get my sound? Not that my sound is particularly spectacular, but it seems to work, so I figured I'd walk you through it. Sound goes in here, and then sound comes out the other side. That's essentially the short version. The long version is, I track my drums through some Pyle microphones, and they all go into this setup here. Now what I've got up top here is a Focusrite Sapphire, and then underneath I have a pair of ART tube opto preamps. So theoretically, I should have 24 ins. Unfortunately, I do not. I'm going to be upgrading this setup at the end of the year, so this video will be completely obsolete in about 6 months. Anyways, the Focusrite I've had for about 15 years. I got zero complaints about it. It has served me extremely well. I've used it on multiple records. I've taken it all over North America on tours as a drummer, as a bassist, and as a keyboard player. It's a great piece of gear. It is, however, 15 years old, which in audio tech is basically like dinosaur bones. One of the preamps, number 4, died on me recently, and that was the first thing to go wrong with it in a decade and a half. So the reason I have to replace it though, and the reason is that it is too old, so it doesn't sync up with the word clock, which I have over there, which, anyway, the word clock gets all these things to work together, and it gets all of my, all the channels in sync, which I'll show you in a moment when I go through editing the audio. That would be a huge time saver for me. So I've got to update this so that I can run both of these, because right now it only lets me use one, so this middle one's just sitting there. And that'll give me 24 ins when I do that, which means my entire kit will be mic'd up, including the side kit here, all at once. Whereas right now I have to pick, do I want the main kit or the side kit, and then I gotta plug in accordingly. So that's basically it. Is this thing talks to the computer, and then these things are like, you think of them as like expansion packs. So this has 8 ins, this gives me 16, this will in theory give me 24, and then the audio goes into a program called Logic, which I'm going to show you now as we move to my office. Hey, welcome to the other side of my workspace. This is the office. The drums are over there. This is where I do all of my editing, everything. And so I've got a session here that I recorded yesterday that I am going to walk through basically how I do my audio editing and what my settings are and that sort of thing, because I've had a lot of people ask me, like a staggering number of people, how I record my stuff. So basically I'm just going to work through it. You'll probably see the video speed up a bunch because, you know, it gets pretty tedious. But anyways, here we are. Enjoy the majesty that is watching me work. Majesty. Alright, so first thing that I usually do once I've got the session open, in this particular case it's the song Healer by a band called Varga. I get rid of all the extraneous material. So I didn't use the SB8X in this, so I don't need that. And I'm not going to throw out the metronome or drum track yet, because you never know if I might have to redo this. So just mute those. So with that done, sometimes I have like a count in up here. I didn't on this song because it starts with bass guitar, but anyways. So I get rid of that, all that kind of stuff. Then I come over here to the right side of the screen here, and I unpack each track. So you can see it shows how many takes that I've done. So I did 4. There were 2 false starts, as you can see here, and then I did 1 full take and then a second full take. And so now I have to unpack the rest of the tracks. So I'll do thusly. Okay, so that's done. The next thing is, again, I get rid of the next round of extraneous material. So obviously these false starts aren't going to be used, so I get rid of them. And sometimes if I have multiple takes, like I think the most I ever had was 50, and it was one of the Tool songs. I think it was Enema. And it was like I did the bulk of the song at one go, but that part where the hi-hat comes in the first verse was so, I'm gonna have nightmares about that for the rest of my life. Anyway, so you go through and there's a lot of stuff, like obviously you're not gonna use this, obviously you're not gonna use that, and you can just get rid of it. But one thing I've learned over the years by getting caught is that, sort of painted myself into a corner, if you will, is in doing like the songs that have lots and lots of takes. This one obviously didn't, but what can happen is if you get rid of all the extraneous stuff right away, and you forget, like, well, was this the 6th take or the 9th take or the 11th, right? So take a screenshot of the whole session before you start deleting stuff. And that way, if you're like, well, which one's this? Because when you go to your video editing, you'll see the waveform from your camera, right? And you'll be able to link up like, oh, that's take 1, that's take 2, that's take 3, and so on. And that way you won't end up using the wrong footage for the wrong take, which I think I have like 2 or 3 times now. But anyways, that's just a friendly tip. So I'm just gonna get rid of more stuff here. Okay, so that's done, and now I've got to arrange the takes together so that I can start editing them if I need to do that. So, and I have to do this one at a time, and it is just like on the songs that do have a lot of takes, this can take an hour. It's one of the downsides to having a gigantic drum set. Of course, there's the many upsides, such as so that's done, and now I take all these regions and I just bring them up roughly to where things start, because I have to line up all of the tracks. The word clock I mentioned in the previous segment would do this for me while I was recording, but because I don't have it working yet, I have to go in and manually line up all the waveforms together. But even then, they'll go out of sync by the end of the song. That's the next step here. So what I do is, and as you can see, sorry, before I move on, you can see this is take 1. That's grayed out here. That's the first take, because Logic stacks them. So, your first take is your first floor of a building kind of thing. And then when I do my video editing, if I have to jump between takes, I will do the same thing with the video tracks. So that way I can look at Final Cut Pro and I can look at Logic and be like, oh, that's okay, good, I'm using the same ones. Anyway, I might have like obsessive compulsive disorder. I should probably get that looked at. So yeah, now I gotta line up the tracks. So what I'll do is I'll take the first hit of the song, whether it's snare or whether it's kick, and I will find the beginning of the waveform, right, yeah, and then I will line up all of the other stems with it. It's frustrating, it's tedious, like again, songs that have tons and tons of takes, I mean, you're doing this like all day, but it does make a difference in the sound. I found that my snare especially, and my toms, like the whole thing just sounds a lot more like full and kind of in your face, like Poochie. When Poochie's not around, the other characters should be saying, "Where's Poochie?" So I line all these up, and then I went overboard on that one. Silly rabbit. And then I line up my trigger with the kick. The trigger, by the way, is just a sample of my actual kick drum. When I was making my Hecaton Kairis record back in 2019, I had the foresight. It was one of like 3 intelligent things I've managed to do in the last 47 years. I had the foresight to record like samples like at different velocities of my entire kit, And so I use the louder, like full velocity sound, and I put it, and I have it there, like it's not even high in the mix at all. I'll bring it out for really, really fast double kick, like if I need that, like the real, like sort of artificial definition in terms of this clarity in the mix. I'll bring it up in the mix and I'll just highlight different aspects of the EQ. But generally speaking, what you're hearing in my covers is just my acoustic kick drum. The triggers largely, yeah, like either for definition on faster metal songs or as a failsafe if the mic craps out, which happened for the first 3 or 4 songs on the Power Windows series that I did. That's just my trigger on the kick. It's not my acoustic because the mic just crapped out and then started working the next day and has been working since. So, I don't know. Studio elves. But, yeah, that's, I can't remember what I was talking about right now. I'm going to completely level with you people. I have just had a lovely supper, and I had the no frills edition pasta with cheese. I forgot to thaw out meat tonight for supper, so I just had tortellinis with like beef in the tortellini. Normally I eat a lot of chicken or pork tenderloin. Fun fact for anyone watching this. Sorry. Again, I'm baked. So, now I've got everything lined up. And if it wasn't for having someone to talk to like you folks, I'd go insane from the tedium. So now the next step is to listen through and see if anything needs fixing. And now by fixing, I want to make something very clear right now. When I fix things on my channel, I don't quantize. You know what I mean? I'm not like speed correcting anything or whatever. I will splice in different takes. If I like do a really, really good take, but I butcher one bar, I will splice in the bar done properly from a different take. It depends. And I do point it out in the description of all the videos if it's one take or not. And if you really want to know how many takes a song is, you can ask. I'm not going to lie about it. I'll probably take a screenshot of this session actually and just post it in the community section. But anyways, moving on. So now we're going to listen to this, and you might not be able to hear it. I'm not sure how this is going to work. I don't know if my screen capture thing does audio, but we'll find out. That's the adventure. Alright, so basically nailed it in one take and then biffed it in the outro. Oh man, that's brutal right there. But it's during the fade out, and so I'm just gonna cut the song there and then add fades. I don't want to quit, that's not what I want to do. Alright, so the last fade in place. And I'm just doing this because I was just dicking around in the outro. It just fades out to that beat, just to silence. And I got a little bit carried away. But a lot of times I'll leave stuff like that in, but that one's just like so awkward that I just can't abide it. Alright, let's see what it sounds like. To be fair as well, I only rehearsed the song one time. Anyways, so there it is, one take. So then I just bounce it out, like so. So moving on, I'm gonna do this. So I have everything as I put it on the other section, everything goes into the Focusrite and the Tube Opto. So what I do is, once I've told Logic, hey, talk to the Focusrite, what you do under preferences and audio, right now I'm using this little cheapy deal that I got just because I'm running in 2 different locations, and again, I'll be replacing that with the old Focusrite, but you just select it in there, and then Logic knows how many ins it has, so you can access that. So when you're building, like I have a template, so every time I open up Logic for drum covers, this opens up here where we have a track for a metronome count in if I need it. And then, yeah, like my SPDSX, obviously I deleted it because I don't need it for this song. And then, yeah, the TM2, the kick, my snares, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20 for my toms, and then my 2 overheads. That's basically it. Like once you put that together, you select what channel's what, and I think I have my snare and all my toms going through the Tube Opto. I have my kick and overheads and electronics all going through the Focusrite right now. And a lot of that just has to do with real estate, because like I said before, one of the preamps is dead. So I have to like juggle around that kind of thing, which is also why I'm trying to expand the thing with the extra Tube Opto. Anyway, moving on. So once I've got all the channel assignments done, then you got to figure out your sound. So for my kick, again, the sample you're hearing is just my acoustic kick, but to get that sound, my channel EQ looks thusly, and I put a noise gate on there at minus 20 decibels, and that's just because I got the ride cymbal right there, and that's gonna wash down quite a bit because I lay into that. The Sweet Ride in particular is very loud, and I'll lay into that one really hard, and so that backwash of the cymbal noise can feed into the kick mic sometimes, so that's why I have the noise gate on there. And then compression are my compression settings, which I'm largely happy with. I have an exciter on there, which I find just brings out the definition a little bit more, which in Logic 9, I have it set to artificial overload. And yeah, so I have, yeah, there you go, the EQ, the noise gate, the compression, the exciter. The gain actually is just on there by default because of my template. I don't actually use it. I use it for the gain lets me reverse the polarity, or what's the word I'm looking for here? In phase polarity. Jeez. So yeah, my gong drum microphone and the bottom snare mic both are inverted because they face up. Everything else is facing down. And so, yeah, I've got my kick, and then on my snare, there's my snare EQ for what it's worth. I don't spend enough time going over this. I tend to kind of, this works, I'm happy right now, I'll deal with improving it later kind of thing, because, I got other things to focus my attention on. Sometimes life gets pretty chaotic. So I'm not suggesting for even a second that these sounds are like the ultimate way to do it. It's just what's working for me right now in the basement of my house. So, but you can take a screenshot of that if you want. And then same thing with the noise gate. The noise gate I will change. I will like tighten it up or I'll loosen it based on what I need. A lot of times though I have the noise gate set pretty low so that you can get a lot of the ghost notes, especially on the bottom snare drum head. I find if you get a little too, like if you strangle it with the noise gate, you can lose a lot of those ghost notes, you can lose a lot of the dynamic range, and so keep an eye on that, but I adjust that as needed. And then same thing, I've got an exciter on it, Edge Edition, so there's 2 guitars from U2 on it, and the compression, so you can screenshot the settings there if you want. And and then the gain, again, that's just there by default. I just made like a default channel and then I do what I need to do it. So, and then yeah, bottom snare, there's the EQ. And then noise gate is, yeah, right now I have it set to -30. Sometimes I'll put it all the way up to -10. But anyway, there's the compression for it. And then gain, yeah, so you can see there I have phase invert selected. And then my toms, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. And then the gong drum, which I count as a tom. So, again, like I have them panned so that they're from the audience perspective. So the right side of my kit will be on the left side because it's as if you're watching it. Because I realized one day I was reviewing a couple of older videos and I had it done drummer's perspective before, and it's actually off-putting to watch me like go one way on the kit, but in the audio spectrum goes the other way. So that's why I have that set up like that. And because I basically have 3 toms per side, I just arbitrarily picked mirroring positions. So, 10 offset and then 25 and then 40. And I use these little lines here to gauge roughly like how far I should pan based on physically where it is in my kit. So my 18-inch floor tom and my gong drum are panned pretty hard to left and right. But anyway, if that's wrong, by all means, let me know in the comments, because again, I'm making most of this up as I go along. So there's that, and then EQ wise, they're all basically the same. I just kind of tweak them a little bit, but they basically look like this. I generally start by taking everything out from below 60 hertz to leave up room for the bass guitar. And again, I'm not saying that I do that all the time, but that's my starting point. Sometimes I do let a little bit of the low end back in. It depends. Like if I'm trying to recreate a drum sound, or even if I'm just working on my own stuff, I'll do that. I don't have the noise gates on very high on those because I find I still struggle mixing the toms. And like the floor toms seem to punch through pretty well, but they're also huge, right? Like 16, 18, and 20. But I find my 10 and 12, well, the 12-inch tom actually has always been very loud. I don't know. But the 10 and the 14, I find I struggle with. I don't know why. You can even see it in the window here, just a sec. So there's 10, there's 14 there. Like, look how much quieter that is versus 16 here. The 10 is wide open, but for some reason it doesn't cut through in the mix. And I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert at this, so, don't take my word for anything. And then I've got my overheads here, which I have panned hard right, hard left. Well, right and left, depending. Let's just pretend I did that properly. And then for all of them, I have bus number 1 here, which my default setting is -5. And it goes to this here, which is my reverb channel. And this is my reverb. I just found one of the stock settings and dialed it in slightly. But this is it. And then I have that set to -3, but I'll dial that in. Like the Pantera songs, for instance, I will set all of these buses to 0, and I will set this one to 0 as well, so you get like that huge like arena reverb. That's how you do that. And it saves a lot of processing power. Like if you put reverb on each one of these things, your computer would die. So that's why I run it to this bus here, and then and I have it set post fader. So there's that. Then it all goes out through the master bus here, which I picked a stock. It had a bunch of templates, and I picked the one I liked the best, which I think was called Broadcast Ready in the mastering section. Might have been that one. I might have changed that since, but basically this is the EQ here. I don't really look at it much because I focus on the EQ over here. In fact, I might even take that out in the future. The multi-compressor, which is set to Final Dance for some reason. And then there's an exciter, which is high-end refresh. and a limiter, which has no clever name. And then I use this guy sometimes to double check if things are in or out of phase. And that's it. Those are all my settings. That's how everything works. After this, what I do is I import everything into Final Cut Pro, and then I edit the video and I do a drum cover, just a straight up drum cover raw video. And then I'll re-import that, and then that's when I'll add like the little text boxes and stuff, and the tricky bits sections, and that's it. That's my process. So hopefully that was informative or helpful or whatever, and you know, you can see behind the scenes how I work. If I ever do live streaming, I should do a live stream, like do a really complicated song and then live stream filming it and then editing it. You guys can watch me melt down as I try to sort out like 45 takes. That's why I have like 4,000 cartoons on this computer, for that express reason, is that on days where I have all that kind of like tedious, you know, manual labor crap to do, manual labor in computer terms, I will just put on like a stream of cartoons on this window and just sit there and just like sort through the tracks for hours. Oh my God. Weed helps. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. The track that this is from, the song is called Healer. The band is Varga. And that cover comes out at the end of June. Yes, June. End of June. So, anyways, I always feel like I'm forgetting to say something. And that's, yeah, no. I got to believe in myself. I believe I've said all the things. So there you have it. See you next time.